Hi guys, today we're going to review units 3 and 4. We're doing these together because they take place in the same time period, 1450 to 1750. Just for a refresher, unit 3 is our land-based empires, unit 4 is our transoceanic interconnections, otherwise known as maritime empires. So big picture, our main themes are going to be that we're going to see several land empires reach their peaks. But most of them are going to start to decline by 1750. Some of these can be the Ottomans, the Safavids, the Mughals. They're going to decline because they can't keep up with the growth of our maritime empires, which are also going to develop during this time period. Some of these empires are going to govern themselves closely tied to a belief system, otherwise known as religion. So think Islam, think Christianity. And then Christopher Columbus's journey is going to connect the eastern and western hemispheres, and this is going to bring about huge changes. This is going to bring about the establishment of maritime empires. Remember, maritime empires do their conquering by sea. Maritime means sea or ocean. It's going to lead to the transatlantic trade and the Columbian exchange. It's going to lead to changing social hierarchies, just because we're going to see lots of movement of different people. From Unit 2, we left off with the Mongols. They did their thing, they were super cool, but then they didn't last very long and they collapsed. And when they collapsed, they left a power vacuum that's going to be filled by all of these new empires. So the Ming Dynasty is going to take over in China after the Mongols do their thing. And then the Manchus, otherwise known as the Qing Dynasty, is going to take over afterwards. So if you've been keeping track of all of our Chinese dynasties that we've been talking about, we saw the Song, the Yuan, which is just the Mongols, the Ming, and the Qing. And that's all that we need to know, because the Qing are the last ones. Then the communists are going to get them. Our gunpowder empires are also going to develop after the Mongols, and they're called gunpowder empires because, if you remember, they're going to use things like cannons and artillery to do their conquering. So gunpowder isn't a new invention, it's been around for years, but they're going to use it in new ways that's going to allow them to become these large land-based empires. So some examples of these are the Ottomans, the Safavids, and the Mughals. These are all also Islamic empires. Speaking of religion, we're going to see lots of changes there. So different schools of Buddhism are going to develop, like Zen Buddhism. The Protestant Reformation is also going to happen because that's going to cause that split with Christianity. The emergence of Sikhism, that's going to be this hot new religion coming out of India. And then the Sunni and Shia rivalry is going to continue. Sunni and Shia are both branches of Islam, and they are in conflict with each other basically since the split happened. This is going to be seen with the Ottomans, who are Sunni, and the Safavids, who are Shia. They're going to keep clashing with each other because of religion. So first, let's go over our land-based empires. This is a list of all of them that are mentioned in the book and throughout the curriculum. The ones in bold are probably the most important ones that we need to know about. So we've got the Manchu, which is the Qing Dynasty, it's in China, the Ottoman Empire in the Middle East, the Safavid Empire in what is now Iran, or otherwise known as Persia, the Mughal Empire in India, the Russian Empire in Russia, the Songhai Empire in West Africa, the Aztec Empire in Mexico, and then the Inca Empire in South America. One of the big themes of Unit 3 is asking the question, how did these empires maintain power over such large distances? So the first thing that they did is they consolidated their power, they gathered it up, they strengthened it, and then they legitimized their power. They made it real. They justified why they had to be the ones in power, why they are the rulers. So let's answer the first question. How did rulers consolidate their power? Some empires created a centralized bureaucracy. The Qing is a perfect example of this because Chinese empires have been doing this for ages. They basically re-established that civil service examination. That's where they created their government bureaucracy. The Ottomans did this through the Devshirme, and this is just they recruited Christian boys to serve in the government bureaucracy. Some of them were made to be elite warriors that eventually became the Janissaries. That brings us to our next point. Another way that they consolidated power they had a strong military. So we are going to see this with the Aztecs, especially with our fierce Aztec warriors that are going to strike fear into all of the people that they conquer. When they conquer people, they require a blood tax, which is some tributes that they have to get and sacrifice to their patron god. The Ottomans, remember, Janissaries are going to come out of the Devshirme. They're going to be this elite group of warriors in the Ottoman Empire. Safavids are going to have something similar called the Gulams, but these are soldiers that are only loyal to the Shah, which is the ruler of the empire. Another way that they consolidated power is they collected taxes. So the jizya, remember that tax on non-Muslims that Muslim empires did, that's going to still keep being into play. The Ottomans are going to do this. The Mughals are going to do this as well. They are going to get rid of it with Akbar the Great, but then it's going to come back with afterwards, after Akbar. The Mughals are also going to use zamindars to collect taxes. The Ottomans are going to use these people called tax farmers, so they're going to outsource their tax collecting. And then the Aztecs are going to basically provide their territories with tribute lists, things that they have to give the Aztecs in as part of their tribute. And these can be things like food, like maize, corn, or they can be people, because they have to sacrifice them to their patron god. Let's answer our second question. How did rulers legitimize their power? I would create a little chart like this to organize your notes. So we're going to see they're using different sources of legitimacy like religion, art, monumental architecture, and then examples that I'm going to give you as to how rulers use that to legitimize their power. First up, we've got religion. So Islamic rulers are mostly going to use the title caliph, and that just means that you are a successor to the prophet. And then European rulers are going to use this thing called divine right, that basically says that God gave you the right to rule on earth. You are his representative on earth. Therefore, you should listen to me because I have the divine right of God. Songhai rulers are going to convert to Islam, and that's going to provide a legal and religious structure to their empire. The Aztecs are going to use human sacrifice in religious rituals, and that can be seen in this right here, where they sacrifice the hearts of their tributes to their patron god Huitzilopochtli. So another way that we have rulers legitimize their power is by using art. So Qing emperors often had these elaborate portraits commissioned for them and their family members. The Ottomans had these miniature paintings, and then European rulers often financially supported artists to have their portraits and different works of arts done for them. So you might be thinking to yourself, how does art show that you're the ruler? Well, all of these different works require time, they require labor, they require resources, they require materials, and you're not just going to do all of that effort for anyone. You want to do it for someone really important. So that's how it shows that they are the rulers, they are important, they're in charge. Architecture was another thing that they used. We have the Taj Mahal in India, commissioned by Mughal Shah Jahan, the Palace at Versailles commissioned by Louis XIV in France, and then the whole city of St. Petersburg commissioned by Peter the Great in Russia. All of these, same reason as art, they're going to show because they require so much time, resources, labor. I mean, just look at all of these. Look at the detail, look at everything. It's going to basically show that it's done for someone important, and it shows that they are in charge because a lot of people went through all of this effort just to do this for them. Unit 4 is going to talk about our growth of our maritime empires. One of the reasons why they were able to develop is because of technological innovations. So we have innovations in ship design, we have different sails, different types of ships like the flute, the caravel, and the carrack. They're going to allow Europeans to travel these great distances by sea. We're also going to see the diffusion of technology, like improved astronomical charts, the compass the astrolabe used, and these technologies are already invented. The Europeans are just going to, take them, tweak them, and make them work for them, make them able to travel these greater distances, and that's how they hit the Americas with Christopher Columbus. Another big thing that we're going to see in Unit 4 is exploration and exchange. So we're going to see the expansion of maritime exploration and empires. Columbus and Magellan are going to be our explorers for Spain. Vasco da Gama is going to be our explorer for Portugal. And then once they explore their different places, especially after Columbus, we're going to see the Columbian Exchange happen. Remember, that's that transfer of animals, plants, culture, humans, technology, diseases, ideas from the Old World, the Eastern Hemisphere, to the New World. And this is going to cause that transatlantic trade. Once our empires are established, they are going to face a lot of resistance because you can't just roll up to a new place and say, I'm the ruler, you got to listen to me, do everything the way I want it to. Naturally, you're going to have lots of revolts happening, and this happened in the colonies in the Americas. One of those revolts, lots of those revolts are going to turn into revolutions in the next unit. We are also going to see resistance to European presence in places like Africa and India. We're going to see changes in social structures like the casta system in the Americas. And then we're also going to see the development of new economic systems like mercantilism and capitalism. Mercantilism is the big important one here. Remember, mercantilism requires that everything produced by the colonies go to the mother country. Colonies can't trade between themselves, only to the mother country. So everything is in for the benefit of the mother country. We're also going to see joint stock companies used to get private investors to invest in the new colonies. That's mostly going to be used by the Dutch and the British, but these joint stock companies are eventually going to be overtaken by the government because some of them are going to become a little corrupt.